Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there, welcome at ya, to ya, whatever the proper preposition. How you doing? It's December 3rd, and I will be joined in a few minutes by my brother, William Miller, because he's an interesting guy. And he will be speaking about something he's been on the show about before, but that was years ago. And that is gift giving, a subject that most people don't think of as a subject. But you'll be surprised. What a fraught subject it is. Okay, so we got a little bit of time here. Good God in heaven. Trump's what he said about Somalis yesterday during the cabinet meeting was so openly racist, so dehumanizing, so blanket statement condemning an entire nation and people. It was breathtaking. Not that he hasn't said these kinds of things before, but what was so appalling is the place that it was in a cabinet meeting where not one member of that cabinet rose to object, as any honorable moral person would. And in fact, the report that I read said that the vice president, one J.D. Vance, actually banged the cabinet table in support in this vile diatribe. It was, even for him, just unbelievable. I didn't see it or listen to it because I don't have the stomach. Just reading it was enough, more than enough. And it shows how far, it's just another, it's emblematic of the horror of being an American right now. I saw that University of Chicago academic who specializes in political violence said of the language Trump was using, these are not just nasty metaphors. They're dehumanizing metaphors. You call people garbage, you're saying they are not human. You're thinking of it as something that can be thrown out as easily as garbage. So that is exactly the kind of metaphor we have found for decades is likely to increase support for violence. There's a method to this rancid madness. It's exactly what Hitler did. you first dehumanize the humans that you want to eradicate. And then it's much easier to just eradicate them, and for others to stand by and even applaud, feel they're being made safe. Somewhere I read something that, what's her name? Noam said that was, I mean, even like worse. It was so appalling in its bigotry and dehumanization. The words that are used, oh my God, just oh my God. These are Nazis. These are Nazis. These are out and out Nazis, quite willing to murder people for simply being the wrong color. And then there was another article today about, good God, about the University of Alabama, I think, because of Trump's and the federal government's new DEI policies, suspending 2 student magazines. One, a magazine for women on campus. The other, a magazine for the target audience of which is black students. And that's enough to mean they can't exist anymore. Is this a country you want to live in? It's, it's not the America that I have feelings for. I'm just so ashamed. Just ashamed. Oh, was reading how Elon Musk, God help us, the richest man in the world, who has a charitable foundation, but is not inclined to give any money away, who year after year does not manage to give the percentage of that is required by law if you have a so-called charitable foundation. There's a minimum amount required by law if you're going to say this is a charitable foundation. Year after year, he can't manage it. And when you see where he does give his money, it's to charities or nonprofits that are affiliated with him, with his endeavors that will ultimately benefit himself. He is vile. I'm so sick of living in a place where these are the people who have risen, who have been rewarded with success, with power, with our votes. Even more appalling. God almighty. So anyway, yeah. And it reminded me reminded me of an obit. Forgive me, I saw a doctor yesterday. He said I was probably fine. I was skeptical. There was an obit of a woman who, with her husband, who predeceased her, had collected this huge trove of extraordinary artworks. And what was amazing about the obit is that these were two people who lived in a rent-controlled one-bedroom apartment in New York City. He was a high school dropout. He sorted mail at the post office. They ended up. Bill, is that you? I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's me.
Well, that's so odd because I didn't even sort of click you in. I just heard your stomach growling or something. God, that is weird. So, hi. Hi. This is my brother, William Miller. And I already had warned folks that you might be stopping by and talking about gift giving. I was just talking about, when you came in, the horror of Elon Musk and how he year after year fails to give away the minimum amount from his so-called charitable foundation, and to contrast that with these two people, the Vogels, who he high school dropout and post office worker, and she a librarian, had just found art that they loved from people who weren't, famous, and they had it all over their apartment. And it turns out that they had one of the greatest troves of modern art ever accumulated. And yeah, and they gave it away. The difference between some people who lived in a rent-controlled one-bedroom apartment who had nothing but this love of art, and the obit for her said they take their place as benefactors alongside Rockefellers and Mellons. Their works.
Well, those Rockefellers and Mellons and Carnegie's look, in retrospect, wonderfully public-spirited compared to the present Musk types. It's really
something. It's something.
It's part of a general lament of the decline of everything, but it's true.
It's true. It's true. So, they gave it away mostly to the National Gallery in Washington, never made a penny off of what was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And she was quoted as saying, "We just like the idea of giving it to the nation. And we also like the idea that the National Gallery doesn't charge admission." And so they just wanted people to see and appreciate this art. They knew it was worth gazillions of dollars. That wasn't what drew them to it. And you look at people like that, they are not held up in this, really. They're not given. Never mind. Anyway, gift giving, Bill. Let's talk about that. How come? How come that became a subject of interest to you? Did you actually write stuff about that?
Yeah, but it's always been a big issue in anthropology from late 19th century on. It's been an important area of discovery because a lot of what so-called primitive cultures, the economy didn't look all that capitalist. Goods exchanged hands by gift, but it was often highly contentious, and we know from our own experience that gifts don't come for free. And the kind of amazing kind of false consciousness of many Americans to think that if you get a gift, it's a freebie. We all know that a gift binds us to make a return.
Hey, Bill.
And
Bill.
Bill.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything we can do about this. I think your volume sounds really low, and I'm getting that other people are feeling that way too. I don't know if
How's this? Is this better?
no. Are you? Is the phone right there on your mouth?
Yeah, it's right on my mouth. It's on my. I, I'm sorry. Gee whiz, is the internet kind of, just think of how kind of vulnerable we are in this day and age. That if the internet connection isn't great, we're at loose ends. We're totally at loose ends.
Yeah.
This kind of the cell phone has become a necessity, and I hate it. I hate being bound to it.
Okay, I'm gonna do
How
something.
many of you out there?
What, Bill? Go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm doing.
How many of you out there committed the sin of contributing to a political candidate and now get text messages from every person running for Congress in every district in the United States for
Ever.
They punish you for your good deed.
Yeah, in perpetuity.
And my phone's buzzing all the time. That's it. I'm not giving anymore. That's it.
Well, I don't know that okay. So I don't know if if the volume's any better. I just pressed whatever button I have available to me, and in my ear you're louder now, but I don't know if that's going over to everybody else.
I'm holding it right up to my.
Okay. You are strangely, because I'm not, you are soft spoken. I think.
Yes.
Why? How the hell did
to my sister.
To your sisters?
Well,
but,
I mean, because what's the point? You got to yell so loud to yell over you and Susan that you just kind of retreat into soft-spoken.
Well, no, I think when somebody speaks as quietly as you often do, that it's a control thing, and that people really have to lean in to hear you.
I accuse a colleague of mine of doing that, who talks in very, very, very low, and it means that everybody has to bow before him. I don't think of myself as talking, that low, just relative to you, maybe. Who knows?
Who knows? Okay. Anyway,
so, do you want to get back?
No, let's get back on.
Get back on.
Yes.
It's funny. How much we recognize the obligation that a gift imposes, and these my favorite culture for my career built on was the Iceland of the Icelandic sagas, and here's a story that comes from there. There was a famous poet, one of their great kind of berserk warriors, named Egil. And Egil was, in his lifetime, known for his incredible versifying talents. He also kind of taught other young aspiring poets. And one of them goes to Norway and does very well in favor with the Norwegian king, which Egil was not in favor of with the Norwegian kings. He'd been expelled from there. And so this Einar comes back from Norway, stops at Egil's farm, and gives Egil, who is not there, he was not present, he was out somewhere, and he leaves him as a shield that he got as a gift from the Norwegian king that was covered with gems and a priceless shield as a payback, as a gift to Egil for all the poetry the techniques of poetry he had taught him. So he rides away. Egil comes home and sees the shield and says, "What's that?" They said, "Einar came and gave this to you." And he says, "But what does he expect? How does he expect me to repay this? Let's go right out and kill him." So they evidently, Einar had gotten a day's leave on a head start, and Egil called it off. Instead, sat down and composed a poem in honor of the shield as a payback. Egil resented being unilaterally made a debtor. But from Einar's point of view, he is paying back Egil for Egil's gifts. Gifts that weren't material. But Hegel resented being imposed upon to be required to make a payback.
Well, see, most people, Bill, from our
Now,
point of
how
view,
much of it-
Come on, Hegel sounds like a jerk. You could say thank you.
Well, doesn't the reason the story makes it as a story is that Hegel's reaction is a little outre, you know, but it's just it captures a sense of like when somebody does you a favor of it locking you in to have to make a return. Some of these are just small things. You pick up the check one time, your friend picks it up the next. But notice if you go out, like when you were in your student days, if you went out with a group of people for beers, and one guy would buy a pitcher for the table, and then it was understood that when that pitcher was empty, that the next person would buy one. And let's say that there were too many people there that two people were let off the hook of not having to shell out. I expect that the next time that group went out, those two would be the first to jump up to realize they needed to buy a round. If they didn't, they start to get murmurs and people start to write them off as just not properly socialized human beings. Everybody is, in other words, keeping track of the ledger out there of who owes what to whom. I suppose even at Christmas time, when the kids run down and look at the presents under the tree and they rip them open and see what they got, they first look to what their brothers and sisters got to see if they can be satisfied with their gift. It's competitive all the way around.
Oh, my God.
Tell me that isn't so.
Well,
yeah, come on.
Yeah, well, you're talking about...
Back in the old days when there was actual dating and stuff like that, so women were very nervous about having the guy pick up the check because it meant that there was going to have to be a payback. So you got women to say, no, let's split it. And the obligation that a so-called gift or a freebie entails, there's no such thing as a freebie. Notice that so much of the justification for why we pray to God, if we pray to God, is because we owe him for all the wonderful things he does for us. But suppose we're miserable, poor, beaten, and downtrodden. We still got to thank God lest he not lift the miseries from us. And we kind of have to praise and praise and praise, where we even have to understand his punishments as gifts to us that demand a kind of obligatory repayment. But, now I'm going so far.
Oh, my God. Hey, listen. Wait. Well, so, Bill, wait. Somebody on chat here has asked a question. Does giving a gift of your time mark you as lazy or cheap?
Giving a gift of your time can depending on the particulars of the situation, and being a gift indeed. Listening to someone who bores you but needs you to attend to him or her for a second is a gesture of understanding another's needs. And if that person isn't obtuse, he will kind of make at least a show of some kind of gratitude or graciousness. Notice how burdensome gratitude is. We are obliged to show it in circumstances where we don't really want to have to show it because the gift came to us uninvited.
Like,
notice that you
wait.
have to signal first that. Notice how dangerous gift giving is in our present culture, that we confine it as only appropriate to about 4 days a year: Christmas, your birthday, Valentine's Day, which is always fraught, and maybe phony holidays like Mother's Day and Father's Day. If you randomly just plop in to a friend and give them a gift, let's say, buy them a book in the middle of the year on no particular day, they'll look at you like, huh? What are you doing?
No, they won't. They'll say, "Oh, how sweet!
So,
Thank you." What?
yeah, that's right. The obligatory show of gratitude. And you better know that you'll be casting around, not right away, because that looks rude. If you may buy them a gift, a book in the next week and give it back, that looks like a little too, not willing to be bound. But you know that you're now on the hook. I'll give you an example. Our mom, our amazing mom, died 2 months ago. At the funeral, when we're in, I look up, and walking in the door is a friend and colleague of mine from Ann Arbor. How he even found out our mother had died, I don't know. And he flew with difficulty to Green Bay just in the nick of time for the funeral. And I see him walk in, and I think I'm hallucinating. And I said to him, "Oh my God, thank you. How in hell's name am I ever going to repay this?"
You don't have to.
So there.
That's not why he came.
Of course you do. No, I know. And I'm paying back because I have to. You have to.
Well,
but that we have all these precepts. We call it payback. We have to pay back any kind. One good turn deserves another.
Right.
That means you do somebody a good turn, and you better do them one back. Now, we also say one good turn deserves another with the good and scare quotes, because it's like you owe somebody payback when they do you harm, too. So notice that gift exchange governs the entire world of revenge, too. It's just that in revenge, you're paying a gift of negative value. Somebody insults you, you are made a debtor. You owe them. You need to make payback. So gift exchange is just the positive side of that negative world of payback. Payback is the rule that governs the moral order, both on the revenge side and on the gift-giving side. We must return the favor.
Well, in this country, we just shoot. Yeah. Okay. In this country, we just shoot you.
I mean, we have a leader who recognizes simply no obligation to repay anybody, and just, in fact, one could wonder, to what extent the taking of his family from the public trough can be recaptured, should it ever be possible to recapture.
Yeah.
But I don't know. One good turn deserves another, and that can be said with a sneer, and it can be said with a knowing wink, and we know it's a fundamental moral principle.
Are you willing to acknowledge Are you willing to acknowledge that there are people who just genuinely love finding things that will give others they care about pleasure and want to give them that pleasure and are not in any way thinking of payback? Is that conceivable to you?
No, I think that's, in fact, I mean, even me, who believes in this culture of payback, knows that sometimes just makes gifts because I want to. I mean, I'm not thinking of binding that person. I am thinking of just expressing kind of like my, good feelings towards them, my love for them or whatnot.
Right.
And that's the only thing that's occupying me. But when do I do that? I only do it at the fixed times of the year, very rarely at those outside of those seasons for which gifts are expected. It's just like, here's what about people you can't pay back, like the people who are dead, who did you favors, who when you look back at your life, you realize, oh, that one teacher actually, I never realized it, but they just determined in a sense who I was. And how do you pay it back? Well, there's this whole culture nonsense of paying it forward. That doesn't solve the debt. You owe it back to that ghosts. And you make kind of gestures of what? Thankfulness towards them or love generated towards them. Our relations with the dead are kind of interesting in this regard. We don't stop the repayment obligation when the person dies. And we kind of are obligatory kind of gestures we make to the spirits of the dead to whom we owe certain benefits that clearly made our lives better than they would have been. I think of various teachers that I had that just, just opened up worlds for me.
But don't you
just doing their job?
Okay. So I know, but so what about that? Here's what I would think when you're aware of that kind of thing. The phrase, here's another one, pay it forward. Do something good for... What?
Yeah, that's the minimal thing you can do, but that still doesn't solve the debt to the person you owe. Pay it forward is just a way of making sure you bind the next generation to think good thoughts of you. But it's like it still doesn't discharge the debt to the ghost. And in Hamlet, when the ghost says, "Remember me," the ghost comes back and says, "Remember me." That doesn't mean keep me in your thoughts. That means
it's a threat.
You owe me a payback.
Yeah.
You better kill the person who killed me. So remember is like, we don't, in kind of like 19th century English, and we still say it, you remember someone in your will, that means to pay someone. So the act of recalling up these spirits and kind of settling accounts with them, I don't know. So anyway.
So what an awful thing, though, to be so self-conscious about this. Are you?
No, it's kind of fun at times. Yeah, it's fun at times. You're aware of, consider the people who just have you over for dinner. And you are obliged to, of course, have them over for dinner. And then there's the competition over which dinner was best. Who actually still kind of didn't quite pay it back. There's just this fierce competitiveness about the whole thing.
I don't agree.
Have you ever heard of potlatch?
Yeah, Native American? Yeah.
The Northwest Pacific Indians, a custom of kind of like competitive gift exchange. And it took the form of seeing how much of your property and your wealth you could just burn and destroy and give away. And then that was a challenge to another person who thought they were a big man if they could destroy more of their property.
Oh, how ridiculous.
So it was a world of just hostile competitiveness based on like considerable willingness to part with your wealth.
Oh, how crazy. You know what? All I'm thinking is human nature. Good God.
We're destroying. We're the worst thing that ever happened.
No, we are.
We're the worst thing that ever happened. Just ask any frog or bird or
tree. We're the worst animal. We are the worst living thing. There is no doubt. There's no one even close. No one close. So
I always think it's remarkable among animals that they have a sense all the way down to reptiles and fish that of what an eye is, the eye in your head.
Yes.
That you see with it.
Yes.
Because across species, everybody meets the other creature's eye. And checking to see whether that thing is going to eat me or whether I can eat it.
I have to...
So being looked at...
Yes.
Yeah, being looked at is a fraught experience. And exchanging glances is another part of the world of exchange.
But listen.
You hold a glance.
Well, this is true. Well, if you hold a glance too long, it looks aggressive. And with animals, there's a point at which you're not supposed to do it. But I have to tell you that you know my dog, and my dog, destroys every like plush toy. If it's I give him a little teddy bear, he
Right.
just rips it to pieces. He does not. The only thing always left intact are the eyes. I started keeping a jar of these scraps of eyes from
the eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, he will not. He'll rip their
Well, the
noses,
eyes are
their
always-
arms, their this, their that. But he will not. I swear to God, it's just bizarre. Will not destroy the eyes.
Isn't it? Eyes always we think the windows to the soul, the
Yeah.
magical kind of thing. But it's just incredible to me. First of all, how the amazing thing of natural selection that generates a complex eye already in insects, and that they're there very early on, and clearly so adapted that it seems everything has them. But it's just that the meaning. I mean, I love the idea of the butterflies that generate dots on their back that mimic the eyes of a larger creature.
Right.
So
Right.
they'll camouflage. They'll have 2 dots on their wings,
Right.
and that signals to a bird. The bird will think, "Oops, that's somebody bigger than me that'll eat me."
Wow.
Notice that. I mean, the whole world of how long you can hold somebody in you, like meeting somebody at the airport that you're, let's say, supposed to pick up that you have never met before. Nowadays, with cell phones and stuff, you can forward a picture of yourself.
Yeah.
But back in the old days, where you had to meet somebody you had never met before to pick them up, it was always remarkable to me how few looks it took before you engaged who the person was. And it was because when you looked at somebody looking to see if that's the person, you had a quizzical look on your face, a look that when you looked at the wrong person indicated to them that you were not a hostile looker, but a seeking looker for a very particular person. And so you never held the glance that long of the wrong if it wasn't met in a certain way. And you finally, after very few false takes, would hit on the person who was looking for a person who was looking at him like you were looking at him, and you connected.
Whoa.
I mean, amazing the amount of information that is being carried by the exact kind of way, the timing, the inquisitive or hostile look you can have. And all that information is processed universally, so you don't give offense by looking at somebody who isn't the right person, because they can see you're looking for someone. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is. It is. I just remembered that story that it had.
I have a little story about one of my kids. So it's kid number 2, daughter Eva. Eva was a tough little kid. She was fearless. She never cried. We were worried that she didn't have pain receptors because she would smash into things. She was covered from head to toe with bruises. And when she was about 2, and she was being bad and fussy, and I said, "You stop that." So I'm looking at her, and she's looking back at me with a look like from the movie, I think Scanners or whatever it is. She's trying to explode my head. She was looking at me with a look of a look that could kill. And I said to her, "Avert your eyes." And she's still looking at me with that look of utter hatred and wanting me to blow up, to see why isn't her superpowers there to cause my head to explode. And I said, "Avert your eyes." And she keeps at it, and guess what the conclusion was? I averted.
You averted yours. So this, she won. She won.
Stared me down. Yeah, a little 2-year-old stared me down.
You sure she knew what avert your eyes meant?
Well, she would learn it, right?
Yeah.
She knew what it meant because she refused to do it. What is the signature of a 2-year-old? No. They say no. They say no even to things they want. So when I said avert your eyes and she didn't, she knew what the meaning of it was.
Oh, God. Oh, my. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this little... yeah, I'm
Yeah.
thinking of an Eva story. Let me just digress because this child wrote letters with a quill pen as if she were aboard like the Mayflower or something, right? Do you remember that? You don't.
No, I don't remember.
No,
No.
she
Yeah.
literally wrote. She conjured that she was on a ship going across the Atlantic to the New World, and people were dying around her. There were places when she noted that a friend of hers had succumbed, and she cried. I'm sorry, she cried. There were tears. The ink was blurred by a tear or two. It was mind blowing. These letters.
Yeah, she was this kid. She and this one little kid, when they were like in first grade, they they had these American Girl dolls and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. And they used to, and then they played and hopped around. They were they made a game they called Colonial Rabbits, and they were colonial rabbits living in the colonial period, and they'd hop around. I mean, yeah,
Kids.
God, little kids,
I
something
know.
else.
They're wonderful. So, yeah,
We just continuously get dumber and less imaginative.
it
Um,
is something. Yeah. Well, the wondrousness of them. Okay, hey, listen, I want to ask you something. I mean, we can. Um, do you know, by the way, I do not have any recollection of you ever giving me a gift.
I probably never did. I I I was always the whole experience was too fraught. Why? Brothers and sisters, you're negotiating with each other every day, all day, with little favors, little hostilities, little battles. I don't
Yeah.
know. It was just never something. Now, my wife's family, they always just bought each other gifts on birthdays and stuff like that, brothers and sisters stuff. And I always felt embarrassed by it. I mean, both to receive and to give.
Um,
I mean, uh, you can give gifts that the person's obliged to. I mean, remember Aunt Dorothy? She would send at Hanukkah, like to an 8-year-old kid, me, a sweater. I wanted a toy or a ball and she'd send you a sweater and you had to, write a thank you note. Oh God, writing thank you notes.
they don't do
Thank
that
you notes.
anymore. They don't
Obligatory.
do that anymore. They've given, believe me, the last time I got a thank you note from a kid, it's rare, rare, rare. Um,
I remember during my bar mitzvah period where I had to write thank you notes. My mom would say, "I had to. You owe so and so a thank you note for that." And I remember that this one family gave me a wind-up alarm clock that just made a lot of noise, and chipped in with two other families to give it, and it was taken from the unsaleable stock of the man's drugstore. So I had to write 3 thank you notes for that one lousy little unloadable. And I remember writing thank you to each family. Thank you for your 1/3 contribution of
no,
the
you didn't.
$5.99 alarm
No,
clock.
you
Yes,
didn't.
and mom and dad were confronted by one of them to complain about my rudeness. And so,
Oh,
call
for
them out on it.
God's sake. Honest to Pete.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, thank
Rich,
you notes as payback.
Richard wants to know, can you become addicted to gift giving? I get a high giving inexpensive I give high giving inexpensive things to as many people as possible in my apartment. I give inexpensive things. Can you become addicted to gift he's thinking he is? Well, why do you do that? I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Well, if it, I don't know. I wonder if you ask your recipients how happy they were to receive these things, whether you would, and to be honest about it, whether you would continue. It might be that that is just a sign of who you are, and people just accept it. Oh, Richard is the kind of guy who buys me, who gives out the gumball machine prizes to every one of us. Little kids will no doubt be very appreciative, um, because we excuse little kids from the payback obligation, so they are not imposed upon. But the parents then acquire the payback obligation and probably are a little bit like just discomfited. But I don't know. It's just like it's a way of typing, I guess, who you are in a sense by this practice.
Geez, I thought you were going to go harder on him than
know.
that. Well, yeah, whatever.
No, I mean, I thought it was being hard enough as it was. I don't know. There was always like, I don't know. Just think of the person in the neighborhood who used to give the little kids candy and stuff. That became the image of the child molester.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who knows?
Well, God help us. We've lost our innocence. So I want to. Can I ask you something? It occurred to me that has nothing to do with this subject, but I'm curious. I haven't mentioned that you were a professor at the law school at the University of Michigan, and it has to be now, God, 10, 12, 15 years ago, that John Roberts came to observe.
Oh, it's more than that. It was like, yeah, he attended my property class.
And he had he was a relatively new Chief Justice, right?
Yeah. It was, it was like maybe in the third or fourth year of his term. And he asked if he could teach the class. And so sure. So I remember just being totally just impressed with how his willingness to deal with the students, to engage in the process, to actually teach. And I thought, isn't America great? This is truly democracy. He isn't lording it over. Of course, the people feel this is the Chief Justice, and kids are just terrorized when he asks them a question. But he handled it with such aplomb and such deep kind of, democratic decency that I've had a soft spot for him ever since, even though he is responsible for the single most appalling opinion since Dredd Scott.
And that's the immunity one?
The immunity one.
Yeah. But so surely that soft spot that you have, it hasn't hardened? I mean, I want to break his neck.
No, I always think there's
a decent man
beneath it.
Well,
yeah.
Well, what?
I don't know. He was so not standing on ceremony with these kids. I just thought, where else would you find this? This is America at its best. I'm reminded of that great sense of equality, actually, when I go to Packer games.
Yeah, but
in the stands, you're just one part of one, just truly engaged community.
Yeah, but Bill. But think of this. So this guy who you thought represented the greatness of this country and of our democracy, not lording it over, being just a regular, is responsible for creating a dictatorial executive?
Yep.
Well, then
I mean, I'm one of these people who thinks that the Supreme Court has throughout history been the single most
regressive. Well, regressive. Yes.
There was a brief period from about 55 to 68 in which it wasn't, and tried to, give equal rights to people. But it's mostly been a force of darkness. But that opinion, you can see. I mean, I don't want to target this. You can see what he was concerned about, which was the kind of lock her up mentality of of what was happening in the country about going after anybody you disapprove of, using law to kind of imprison them, to threaten them. And he was nervous about that. But then you write a very carefully tailored opinion that makes sure that you just don't allow the president to get away with murder, which actually he's now doing.
He has done, right. He is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe about John Roberts is he is a decent man, but he is not a strong leader, and he's lost control of that court. He doesn't know how.
I don't know how much control you can have over these, each one of these, in office for life, can't be fired. What control does he have over the other members of the court, other than assigning opinions to who gets to write what? I don't know. He's clearly lost control if he ever had it. I don't know. That opinion is just, oh my God. Yeah.
When it came out, it was like your mouths dropped. The whole idea of this country, what we love, is that no man is above the law. And then that court said, except the worst man amongst us. And the fact that they knew who the president was, that didn't temper it. Amazing. Just, they had a crook, a rapist, a con man in the office, and they still write that. It's beyond belief. I will never forgive him.
If the man is clearly deeply senile and unhinged now, that he whatever hold he had on sanity seems to be truly slipping away, and still nobody moves.
Nope. They're afraid of him.
Get him out of there.
They're scared.
Well, just think that he still controls nukes of the most powerful nation in the world.
Scares me.
Although we're sinking behind China fast,
Oh God, oh God, oh God. Okay.
Well, we can sit in that. It's just like what a nightmare. I don't know.
It's too. It's hard to believe that that we're living in this now. It's just a nightmare. Yeah, it's a nightmare. So back to the old.
Just thank God you're not a Somali in the United States right now.
Or as he says, a Somalian. So the fact that it is that racist diatribe which she delivered at a cabinet meeting, and the thing I read that freaked me out is J.D. Vance during it banged the table in support.
To wake him up?
No, that's what one of it.
Vance.
Well, he was very awake.
Vance is Vance is the ultimate toady. It's hard to beat out toadies like him and the out principle. It's just, oh God. I wrote a book on courage years ago, and it's hard to find a group other than maybe professors who are less courageous than, let's say, congressmen.
Why do you put down professors?
Oh my God.
Why are you putting down professors?
Because academics are the ultimate weenies of the world. Except when they're really good.
Well, there's some really brave ones too. Hey, what do you think about
now routine? You get. What do I think about what?
Noam Chomsky being in the Epstein files.
On the Epstein list? Gee whiz. I know. Isn't that something?
What the fuck?
Gee whiz.
Was
he?
I don't know.
In what regard?
I don't know.
He could have been.
Epstein was somebody who was always trying to get into every powerful.
Cultivating famous people. So maybe as Chomsky didn't seek him out, and
Yeah.
maybe it's before anything was known about his proclivities and stuff like that. But I don't know. It destroyed Larry Summers. Good riddance.
Good riddance. What a vile character. Hey, Bill, I just want to tell you that on the chat, Laura, Bill, when Bill was at the law school, he loved a woman in the
most amazing secretary administrative assistants to about 8 or 9 of us, who always, each one of us felt that we were her, that each individual felt we were favorite, because the work got done so perfectly, so quickly, even before we asked. And she managed, the most efficient, able person in the damn building.
Okay, so that's Laura
Harlow.
And Laura is listening.
Yeah.
And Laura says, I want to just let you know, Bill, in regard to the story you told about a colleague showing up at Mom's funeral, she says, Bill, depending on who the faculty member was, could be just because they love you and respect you. Email me and I will advise if repayment is necessary.
She's one tough-minded soul.
So
what I mean, just the incredible confidence. She was so good at everything.
But so she'll know. And you know what I can tell from having met the guy? She's going to say there is no repayment necessary. What a sweet person.
Of course. No, just an utterly delightful, good person. Yeah.
She's probably.
Would I have ever done that?
No. Well, I don't know.
Would I have ever thought?
Probably not. No, because you hate travel so much, you would never ever have done it.
The idea that he actually formed the intent and he got the airlines didn't go. They delivered the goods and just in the nick of time, when nowadays it's like you're lucky if you get to your destination without waiting and cancellation after cancellation.
Yeah. I bet Laura can figure out who it is. I bet she already knows. Because she'd know who is that person. Of all stop and think, of all the professors at the law school, who would do such a kind thing? How many? Yeah?
I don't know. One did. I mean, I just was flabbergasted, absolutely flabbergasted. And Kathy, my wife, burst into tears. She was so moved by that act of just utter, an act of just utter goodness,
True.
I don't know. It's just like.
Okay, so someone else is saying, I'm pretty far left, and if you want to call me crazy, then go for it. But I've always thought something was a little off about Noam Chomsky.
I agree. I'm not displeased that he's on that list, but he was surely an ingenious linguist. It can't be denied. But otherwise, I don't know.
Seemed odd. Yeah, I've never been a big fan, but then what do I know? I don't know anything. So, hey, Bill, we've filled an hour here. So, hey, thank you so much. This was fun.
We didn't talk. Yeah, thanks, Lynn. Okay.
Hey, and listen, when you wait, when you get off, you email Laura.
I will right now.
Right now. Okay, thank you. All right. Bye. Bye. Okay, guys, was that a nice respite for me. Got to tell you, I'm starting to come apart at the seams again, having to deal with the appalling humans that are holding the power in this country. I really am. I'm coming undone. So anyway, I was even thinking of taking tomorrow off, but I'll try not to. If for some reason I don't show up tomorrow, you will know that I have literally found it impossible. I'm just saying. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for being there. I am so appreciative, and hope you enjoyed this strange hour. Bill, I'm still hearing you. You never hung up.
Lynn Cullen Live.
Whoa!
Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.